Cooper. She came on earlier this morning. So kia ora, Councillor Cooper. We'll now move to item 11, all the legs, regional, sorry, we've done that one, I think. Yes, all the legs is done. So we go to number 12, and that is Community Facilities Network Plan Action, the progress report. So Tracy.
Kia ora.
Tracy. It's been moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Casey. So just invite you, Tracy, to give your report. Kia ora.
Atamarie, tēnā koutou katoa, acknowledging the Chair. Thank you, Chair Filipaina, councillors and the IMSB representative. I've got a presentation here. If you'll just hold a moment while I share my screen with you. Oh, does not seem to be wanting to do this. I'm sorry.
Tracy, has Maya got a copy of it?
Maya does have a copy. It's just does not seem to be.
That's all right. I just wanted to sort of let everybody know that.
Wanting to.
Yeah. Tracy.
All right, Tracy, I've shared it for you. Just let me know when
thank you. Kia ora. Thank you, Maya. I am not sure. I tested it this morning. I'm not sure what happened, so I'm just going to move that over here. So if we can just stay on this slide for a moment. This is a progress update for the Community Facilities Network Plan Action Plan. It's a process report, and the recommendation is for the committee to receive the report. For context, we have the Community Facilities Network Plan, which was adopted in 2015, and that sets the direction for provision of and investment in community facilities. The Network Plan has a companion action plan that outlines the projects that will be delivered to give effect to the Network Plan. The action plan gets updated every 3 years and approved by the appropriate governing body committee. The current action plan was approved by this committee in 2019. Progress on the action plan is reported annually, which is the purpose of this report. The key messages of the report are: we're making good progress on delivering projects in the action plan, and this shows we're focused on priorities and a mandated program of work in a constrained environment. I also want to note that in the report, the report notes there are 5 projects in the action plan that are on hold, and this is to align with funding or because of resource constraints. The report also notes the next action plan review is due in 2022. The slides in the presentation underscore the report's key messages and provide an extra layer of detail. Chair Filipaina, there's a full agenda, so I propose we move through the presentation reasonably quickly and save questions to the end.
Yep, it's all in your hands, Tracy, or yours.
Kia ora. Before I start, I want to note there are a handful of graphs on the slides. These are intended to help show you the different lenses we use to look at the progress we're making and to ask ourselves whether we're focused in the right areas. Next slide, please. The community facility network is variable in distribution and quality, and that's largely due to historical development patterns and investment approaches. Challenges of maintaining service levels across the existing network within existing funding envelopes while controlling costs, maximising value and balancing the demands of growth and changing customer behaviour require a strategic approach to investment. Next slide, please. As mentioned in my introduction, the 2015 Network Plan provides a blueprint for investment in community facilities. Projects in the Companion Action Plan are divided into 3 categories: business improvements, strategic improvements, and area-based actions. The action plan is implemented collaboratively. This is by the Community and Social Policy and Regional Service Planning, Investment and Partnerships teams. Individual actions are delivered with participation from other departments and, where relevant, with Eki Panuku Development Auckland. Next slide, please. So we have completed or are working on 80% of business improvements, 86% of strategic improvements, and 69% of area-based actions. The most significant shift since progress on the action plan was reported to this committee in 2020 is that completed area-based actions have increased from around 41% to 55%. Next slide, please. The graph that you're looking at here shows the status of work on the business and strategic improvements, which enhance information about community facilities and ensure processes support implementation of the network plan. Next slide, please. The graph on the left shows the status of work on area-based or service and location actions. Some work, as I mentioned, has slowed to align with funding, and this is because of the emergency and then recovery budgets, or because of resource constraints, again for the same reason. These, in paragraphs 46 and 47 of the report, there's more detail about those on-hold projects. The graph on the right demonstrates that priority area-based actions are the focus of our resources. Next slide, please. The primary focus of area-based investigations is to understand the service needs of communities. The investigation process considers options to respond to identified needs and nature of investment required, and to establish robust evidence to support advice. Next slide, please. This slide shows we're making progress on actions across all local boards. Next slide, please. Our work cuts across all service types and helps us understand service investment requirements across the city's network of community facilities. Next slide, please. Recognising Council's commitment to ensuring existing assets are fit for service. This graph shows this is the highest category for area-based actions. Growth and potential gaps in the network are the second highest categories. Next slide, please. So as you can see in this slide, needs assessments are the largest group of actions in the action plan. Investigations don't always result in the need for business cases. They can recommend ways to deliver services without the need for significant investment. For example, brokering the use of vacant space rather than adding an asset to the network. Next slide, please. The development of options in our investigation centres around customer impact and value for money, and involves looking to provide the best response to identified needs, to reduce reliance on capital investment, as well as ways to integrate services, and examples of this are in paragraphs 51 to 54 of the report. Next slide, please. A highlight since the last progress report in 2020 is Te Pātaka Kōrero o Takanini Community Hub. This officially opened on 27th of March this year and provides a home away from home for a growing and diverse community. The hub includes library and community services, and it is in a leased building within the Takanini Village Shopping Centre. Next slide, please. The community was involved in designing the service offering, which is based on an aspiration for a place underpinned by tikanga Māori, where people feel a sense of belonging and of being valued. The built environment is the result of collaboration between whānau Māori and architects, while Te Ao Māori underpins all the human elements of the service, which is bilingual. The service includes a community kitchen, free tea and coffee. There are no security gates. There are games, things like table tennis. There's a slide inside the building. There are movable furniture and walls, and a range of flexible spaces provide opportunities to cater for different uses and groups and changing community needs. There are also storage and lockers for the community to use, and a lot more. And next slide, please. That's the end of the presentation.
Ka pai, Tracy. Thank you so much for that with the update. So I'm going to open up for pātai, any pātai. At the moment, I don't see any. Obviously, a thorough presentation, Tracy. I know. Matua Wilcox.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I'm just querying the Māori impact statement, and I'm trying to understand the impact for Māori vis-a-vis the CFNP and how how there are Māori outcomes within it. Because I'm just trying to kind of get that corridor linked up for myself. Can you kind of explain to me where the Māori outcomes are within this impact statement?
So, kia ora mātua, thank you for your question. Through the chair, the network plan itself outlines Māori outcomes. This is report is about progress on the action plan. There's a section in the network plan that talks about very specifically about Māori outcomes. And Māori were engaged in the development of the network plan, and that is section 2.2 of the network plan itself, which is what sets the direction for for what the action plan is seeking to achieve. Now, if these individual projects, every single one of them, whether it's a needs assessment or a business case or a detailed business case or heading into a new build, involves engagement with Māori. I'm just trying to think of a way to provide you with some examples. So, for example, so it happens at a project level. Within the action plan, every single line item is an individual project. So within each one of those projects, for example, interviews in hui will be held with mana whenua who engaged early in the project. Every project has its own sort of unique question that it's asking, and there's a process that and built within each project around understanding community needs. There are often workshops and focus groups with local marae around community groups, and then mana whenua are always very heavily involved throughout the business case process, particularly the detailed business case process, to ensure that Māori outcomes are reflected through that individual project.
So, Matua, did you want the network plan to be forwarded through to you from Tracy so you have a look at it?
No.
As she said, it's only a progress report based on the Community Facilities Network Plan.
I'm just wondering if Justine's online. I can't. Has Justine joined the meeting? I just wondered if she had anything that she would like to add to that.
I think you covered it, Tracy, because it is a progress report, and everything around Māori impact is in the network plan. Matua, is there any other pātai?
No. It was just trying to key up the outputs vis-a-vis the outcomes, and as you said, this is a work in progress. So I'll look forward to the outcomes for Māori that came about from these projects. Thank you, Chair.
Ka pai.
Just to add through the chair, just one final thing to that. Matua, if you would like some more specific examples, I'm very happy for you to contact me directly and I can give you some more specific examples of a range of projects and how Māori have been engaged and what the outcomes are of the project itself.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you, Stu. Councillor Walker.
Hi, Tracy. Good presentation. Just got a question around the investment criteria or approach that underlies what we're doing. Just wonder what that is. Happy to discuss this with you perhaps offline afterwards. And the context around that just goes to identifying what the gaps are across Auckland and how we might fill them over time. And a related issue around that is just around development contributions, because they can be applied to community facilities if we've identified the facilities in the long-term plan, for example. So just invite your response on that, Tracy.
Thank you for your question, Councillor. I'm just wondering, is Justine online?
No, Justine's not online.
Justine's not online. She was going to be here to support this item. Look, that's a really big question, and yes, I think potentially it's something that it might be more productive to have a conversation outside of this meeting. But just to be, I'm just going through the report here. So the and I'm just looking for a section in this report.
Tracy, it's Kataraina here.
Oh, Kataraina, ka pai, thank you.
Kia ora, Councillor. Would you like for the policy team to just have a separate session with you to walk you through both the network criteria for prioritisation and the funding criteria in the community facilities network plan? And then we can talk you through, how it's prioritised in the action plan, and then the links to the DC policy that's just being done at the moment.
Sure, that'd be wonderful, Katerina. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All good.
Kia ora, thank you. And I'm happy to join in that meeting. So just very briefly, there are the network plan itself very specifically outlines the criteria for how actions are first of all triggered, how they're identified, and then how they're assessed, and that is contained in the body of the report. But I guess the larger question around network planning and gaps analysis, the actions are developed. There's a very robust process that goes into developing the actions, and that robust process does look at things like where are there gaps, where are there likely to be gaps, where is there growth, what condition are current assets in the network, what are the service requirements. And we do look we do look at what's planned in the investment cycle as well, so in order to work out when we might time and phase that work. But I think that potentially your question is quite a big question and relates to recent conversations that were had in FMP and the recovery budget and the direction for community services signalled in the SAMP, and that's why I'm thinking it's probably a better conversation to be had in more detail separately.
Yep, ka pai. So I don't know if there's any further pātai. If not, I'm going to open it up for any whakaaro. 3-second rule gone. I'm going to put the recommendation. Tracy, thank you so much. All those in favour?
Aye.
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 Against? Carried. Kia ora, Tracy. Thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you, everyone. Ka kite anō.
Ka kite anō. Item 13, unlucky for some. Sport and rec.